Okay, Ben, I am going to just start by playing you a clip, and I want you to listen to this clip as a longtime journalist in North Carolina, as a native North Carolinian, and I want you to listen to this, and I just want to, afterward, hear what's on your heart. Okay?
Got it.
I've been to Charlotte. I've been to Charlotte twice. I've been to Raleigh. I've been to Raleigh twice.
You mean Raleigh?
Raleigh.
Oh, okay. Close enough.
That's how you say it? How you say it again?
Raleigh.
You for real? But it's spelled Raleigh.
Raleigh.
That's Raleigh.
Close enough. Don't worry about it.
Well, as a native North Carolinian, longtime journalist, but also, as a man of the South, all I can say is bless his heart.
Yeah. Yeah. How okay. How I have not been. I've been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
I have not heard that particular pronunciation of Raleigh before. I didn't even know it was in the universe of possibilities.
Same here, and I had never have heard that either. And being native, growing up here, it's Raleigh. I mean, if you just split the two syllables, Raleigh,
yeah,
that's Lee.
Yeah. So this is the funny thing to me is that it's not like he had never heard of it. He's been there before. He's been to Raleigh. He was there, and he went to Cary in 2024 to do some soccer stuff. But like he flew into RDU, and RDU was like, "Welcome, Ochocinco." That's who that is. And he's like, "Yeah, man, you guys are great." Like he's like a nice, generous kind of guy. Yeah. And he spelled Raleigh correctly, and he said it that way. And so this is my working theory on this. Okay. I don't know if you, and actually I have to give credit. This is from Joe Ovius, from Ovius and Giglio, that podcast. Long time Raleigh folks, but like Joe grew up in the Miami area. His dad is from the Miami area. Mm-hmm. There is a town near the airport called Hialeah, and Ochocinco is from the Miami area.
Okay.
So my guess is and this is the context. By the way, a couple of things. One, if you don't know what that clip is, it is from a podcast called Nightcap. They were talking about the Carolina Panthers making the playoffs, and the guy with the deeper voice is Shannon Sharp, former NFL player. The other guy is Chad Ochocinco Johnson, former NFL wide receiver for the Bengals, and Shannon Sharp basically was like, "You ain't never been to Charlotte," and like Ochocinco's like, "What are you talking about?" Like I played there twice. Like I was there. Like I dated somebody from Charlotte. Like I have cred, and he's like, "I've even been to Raleigh," and then that's when things went off the rails. So.
So now that you tell me that there is a little town called Hialeah out there, that makes sense, and that he's going to combine the two there. Yeah. And then continue with what you were talking about Oviez and his theory about folks from Miami.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But like his dad. This is where I think it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I understand you could see that and be like, I don't know how it's pronounced, but he confidently says Raleigh or Raleigh.
Raleigh.
And so that's where, and Joe was like, my dad's he's never mispronounced Raleigh. He never had an inkling that like it was anything else, because people may not have heard of Hialeah, Florida. Right. I mean, Raleigh is the capital of the state. So it's much less likely that you would not have heard of it. So, I don't know. That's it. This is one of those things too, where like if anybody nationally says something, does something that doesn't sync up with what the locals think, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing in the world. Like everybody's going to jump on you and get all over you.
And honestly, I that's not fair. It really isn't fair, especially if you're visiting a place. Everyone is from somewhere else, and if you visit a place, of course, you're going to be learning how to say things and how to say, the place names and people names and things like that. So I always want to give folks the benefit of the doubt, especially since this state, North Carolina, is one of the fastest growing states in the country. People are moving here by the thousands every day, and they ain't from around here. So, but the way I look at it is, yes, you're coming here, folks are coming here. They may not be native, but their kids are going to be native. And so I think that's important. That's an important thing to keep in mind. So you don't just trash people, and other people for not being around here. Okay, great. You're not, congratulations. You got here. You got here as soon as you could. Let's get you up to speed so you can fit into the community. So
Yeah. So, well, today we're going to give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt because and the other thing by way of introduction, if you've been listening this long and you're like, who's Ben? Ben McNeely, longtime journalist in North Carolina. You used to work for, I met you when you were at Spectrum News, but you've worked at small town newspapers across the state, native North Carolinian, just terrific accent, like that sort of a thing. And if you don't know what this show is, this is the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. I am Jeremy Markovich. I write the newsletter at ncrabbithole.com, and we do podcasts from time to time, including this one. And so I have asked Ben to come on today because what I did in last week's newsletter was to A, show this clip of Ochocinco saying Raleigh, but then 2, I asked you all to help us out. So I created a voicemail line and I said, not that if this one's hard to top. I'm not asking anybody to top it. I am just saying, A, if you have a pronunciation of a place or a thing or a North Carolina item, something that is sort of native to this state that either A is a trap, right? There's like trap pronunciations.
Yes, there are.
That look like, oh, it should be this, but it's not. It's something else. So A, give me some of those, or B, give me ones that are obvious that people just mangled. Just like went to new lengths to of creativity to in pronunciation, I guess. So I have a bunch of clips, and then Ben, you and I are going to arbitrarily award points to the story. I think sort of like, hey, if it's one that everybody's heard of, then that one, maybe 1 point, 2 points. If it is something on Raleigh, I don't know, 9,500 points. So whatever. So
that's the ceiling.
That's the ceiling. Maybe it's not the ceiling.
The floor is the ceiling.
Yes, exactly. So that's where we're headed with this. So I think first off, I wanted to ask you, because when I put this voicemail up, this is why I actually called you up and had you on today. You were the first one to reply, and you gave me like 4 examples of places that are spelled one way and pronounced another, or are just traps, or like you had stories. So what was on your mind when you heard that? What were some of the examples that you were thinking of?
The biggest one is one that's here in Raleigh. So there's a neighborhood in just right north of downtown Raleigh. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods in Raleigh. And you drive through, and there's a big sign out there that says Mordecai. And Mordecai is a Jewish name, an old Jewish family name. But it's not actually pronounced Mordecai, it's pronounced Mordecai. And here's the story behind it. Back in the 1800s, there was a fellow by the name of Henry Mordecai. He is from a prominent Jewish family from Warren County, and he was going out to go, find his fortune, make his way in the world. He comes to Raleigh to be a lawyer and marries into the Joel Lane family. Joel Lane gave the land to build the city of Raleigh. So he's basically the founder of the city of Raleigh. And he marries a daughter or granddaughter, into the family. Establishes himself as a lawyer. He gets elected to the General Assembly, but because of prejudice back in the day, in order to sound less Jewish, he changed the pronunciation of his name from Mordecai to Mordecai. So you could tell folks, you could tell here in Raleigh, you could tell who is a native of Raleigh based on how you pronounced the name of that neighborhood. And I'll be honest, I'm from Ashboro, where the zoo is, and I went to NC State, and I consider Raleigh home now. But when I first moved here to live, I even made that mistake, and I wrote a column about it for a local a local web news website here, diving into the history of that, because it's so fascinating. It really is fascinating. That gets into the political and the social aspect of place names. I did I sent a note to one of my friends, Liz Pardue, who is on TikTok and does a lot of North Carolina stuff. And I told her, I said, you should talk about the little town of Wynot, which is in my home county of Randolph County. And the story behind that is the townspeople were coming together. What are we going to name the village? This little village? And everyone kept saying, why not name it this? Why not name it that? Why not name it this? And one fella got up and said, why not name it Why Not, and let's go home. And so that's what they did. When I was in Stokes County, which is up on the Virginia border, north of Winston-Salem, there's a little farming community. It's a rural county. They have a lot of farming communities, and there's this little farming community up near the Virginia line called Francisco, but it's spelled like Francisco. So when I moved there, I kept calling it, I would call it Francisco. And my office clerk and my ad rep just sort of snickered at me and was like, no, it's called Francisco. I said, what? Francisco? And the reason why is because there's the Francis family that was prominent in that farming community, and they ran a general store with the sign out front that said Francis CO period for company. And everyone just started calling it Francisco. So again, this gets into the social aspect of these places, and the idiosyncrasies of place and of family and everything like that plays into how people pronounce place names.
Yeah, it really is one of those things too, where if you want to get cred, you will make the effort to say it, but somebody usually has to correct you first. Mm-hmm. So that's always what I think about. And the other thing I think about too is, like regionalism. In some ways, it's changed a lot from the early days of broadcasting. So you and I both worked in TV broadcasting for a long time, and I think when I was coming up, and this is like in the early 2000s, the idea was that the standard was, if you wanted to be on television, you had to speak literally. I have a book called the Broadcast Voice Handbook, and it says speak from the diaphragm, broadcast to the back of the room, have a voice of God. And the platonic ideal of how somebody is supposed to sound is Tom Brokaw, right? Yep. Midwestern, flat, no hint of any kind of accent, so that person, that voice can play anywhere. And I think now what you're seeing is the opposite of that, where accents are sort of, I don't know, interesting. People, it's interesting. I think there are still the stereotypes that come around from accents and from regional pronunciations, but I think the evidence that maybe we've turned the corner is Marty Smith, who, if you know who that is, he's on ESPN. He lives, he's in North Carolina. He lives here, but he's very Southern. And he covered NASCAR for a while, but now he covers college football. And my goodness, there's no mistaking where Marty's from.
Yeah,
when you hear him talk.
Yeah.
So I think it's changed in a little way, and I do think, again, we are presenting what's going to come up here as a public service. Hey, if you're not from here, this is how you say stuff. and this is how we learn. So
Yeah.
I want to get started here with I want to call these honorable mentions, because these are people that either replied to me via email or via Blue Sky. I'm just going to read a couple of these off quickly before we get into our first one. One is the joke was, not Clinton, but Clinton.
Clinton.
And somebody, and there was another one that said, what happened to the T in Manteo? It went to Wilson. So Wilson has got a T in it.
Yeah.
Not when you spell it, but Wilson is that's a big one.
Yeah. That's a big one. You have the silent T.
Yeah.
You say the silent T. Or the missing T. You say the missing T. That's
yeah,
it, the missing T.
It's invisible. It's not silent, it's invisible.
It's invisible. Here's another one along those lines. And if you really want to make a Marine mad.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going. This made me mad. This one, actually, I know where you're going with this, because you and your former podcast co-host on Tying It Together, Tim Boyum,
yeah.
You said this, and then I think people got mad, and then you had to write a story about it, saying, no, actually, we're right, you're wrong. Like you all go away, I know I'm right, why are you booing me?
So, it's happened probably 15, 20 years ago. The United States Marine Corps came out and said the correct pronunciation of the big facility, the big camp in Jacksonville, North Carolina, is Camp Lejeune, not Lejeune as it is spelled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lejeune is named for General John Lejeune, who is the most famous U.S. Marine ever, and his family came out and said, it's pronounced Lejeune, after decades of everyone coming through that camp from World War II all the way through, coming through that major military establishment. Everybody calls it Lejeune. And his family finally came out and said, it's called Lejeune. The missing R is there. And people would lose their minds. Like we started calling it Lejeune on air, and people would light up our phones. So much so that when we would broadcast on TV, we'd have to put an explainer in a lower third to say why we are calling it Lejeune. And yes, Tim and I would call it Lejeune, and we would get all kinds of response to that. So if you want to make a Marine mad, go ahead and call it Lejeune and see what happens.
Not a great idea. Yeah.
No, especially not in Jacksonville.
That's like, I don't want to get into a fight. It's fine. You're
Yeah.
fine. I am not willing to die on that hill.
No.
No.
And I was thinking about this last night, because I was like, oh, that's a great example. I need to bring it up with Jeremy today. I was like, maybe we were just a tad bit persnickety on that one.
Well, there's a couple of these that are in here that I think are actually subjective. Like there are two different. There's one that I'm thinking of that we'll get to, that is very like, there's no right or wrong answer actually. But if you do it in the wrong way, people get really mad. So I'm gonna fly through the rest of these kind of different ones. Somebody, this is from somebody called Seal Sailor on Blue Sky. Said, this doesn't count because it's my skill issue, but one time I misheard someone say Burlington as Berlin, and I thought they were from Germany.
It's wonderful.
That's a good one.
Burlington.
This is also I don't think I have this clip. I didn't find this clip, but this one's back in 2018, 2019. Chris Hayes had Bowtie Politics on his show and massacred the pronunciation. Michael Bitzer on his show and massacred the pronunciation of Catawba.
Yeah.
I don't think I have that one. And
did he say Catawba?
Maybe Catawba? I don't know.
I don't know how else you could say that. I mean, Catawba.
Yeah, like it sounds like
I used to work. I used to work in Concord and Kannapolis, and I would hear. And then when I went to Spectrum, we would have new folks who would move to the area, especially in our Charlotte newsroom, and they would call it Cabras.
Yeah.
Cabras and Rowan County, and I'd have to, being a producer, I have to get in their ear and politely say it's pronounced Cabarrus and Rowan.
So I think that one, I mean, one that I have that is from my time in Charlotte that I know I could not bring myself to say. This is like when you hear somebody and they're like talking in, like, when you would hear Tom Brokaw in his perfect, like, voice of God English, and then he would pronounce like Nicaragua. Like he would go into the local, I don't know, like the exact right dialect and like how they would say it maybe. And they're like, no, don't do that. And so my example from being in Charlotte was people in Monroe, they would put the emphasis on, the first syllable, Monroe. And I'm like, I can't make myself say Monroe because I feel like a faker. Like I am not, even if it's right, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to pass myself off as something I'm not, because I obviously don't sound like I'm from the South. Sure. So that's my my local, like, where I will pass. That is my Lejeune. It's not as big as Lejeune. It doesn't have Marines willing to fight me over it, but that's the one I wasn't willing to go for.
Fair enough.
So two more, and then I want to play our first clip because we've been vamping for way too long. Yeah. Some of these cynical optimists said. One time heard somebody in Atlanta say Asheville as Asheville.
Asheville. Oh.
That's
so they're pronouncing the silent E. Okay.
Yeah, Asheville.
Yeah.
And then somebody else said this is like honorable mention. Not a 1-to-1 example from Elliott Smith. Nats broadcaster Bob Carpenter pronounced Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh, who, spelled like Raleigh, pronounced like Raleigh, as Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Yeah, and he said it was one of the weirdest things he'd ever heard. So
interesting. That is kind of weird. Okay.
Yeah. So that's honorable mention. All right. So let's just get going. Again, what we're gonna do, we're gonna assign points. By the way, we are using the whose line is it anyway scoring method, where the points, everything's. We're not making these up, but the points don't matter.
Points don't matter.
Points don't matter. So here is our first caller that left a voicemail for us.
Hi, Jeremy. This is Ann Staples in Pineville, and I have a couple of examples. One is many people I know who are new to the state talk about Mebane, North Carolina, and of course when they mean Mebane. And the second one is having lived my whole life in the Charlotte area, is meeting a couple who actually live on Ray Road and call it Rhea Road. And since then, I've talked to a lot of people who are referencing Rhea Road. I remember telling that couple that, no, it's actually pronounced Ray Road, and they looked puzzled because of the spelling. And I said, my daddy actually knew some of the Rays, and they said it Ray. So anyway, thought it was funny. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, Mebane is understandable. Ray, so Ray, the Ray Road is REA.
That's what I thought. It's REA, yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
But like maybe that's a trap, because you're looking at it like, nah, I could go either way, but I bet it's the tricky one. It's not the obvious one.
It is the tricky one. And if you're looking at grammar rules, then the first vowel, the vowel even if you have multiple vowels next to each other, you pronounce the first vowel, the sound of the first vowel that you get to in a word. So I can see that's a trap. Yeah. That is definitely a trap. Because if you're looking at a person's name, Ray, it's usually in that way. It's usually spelled R-A-E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or R-A-Y, obviously.
Or R-A-Y. Yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah. So I think that one's a tricky one. I'll give Mebane I'll give that 100 points.
Okay.
And I'll give Ray, how are we doing now? I'll give Ray probably 150, because that's a tricky one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give Mebane, I think, because there's going to be a Buc-ee's in Mebane. Yeah. So people are going to be butchering that one a lot in the coming years once that place opens. So I'm going to give that, I'm going to give it 200 points just for pure potential.
Fair enough.
Ray, I think I'll give it 50. I'm going to give 50 that one.
Okay.
So,
all right, I like it.
So you said how many for Mebane?
I said 100.
100.
Yeah.
All right. And then how many for Ray?
And then Ray, 150.
150. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next one, this one I think is another one that is a tricky one for folks.
This is Joel Starling, currently in Stedman, North Carolina. I went to high school at a place called Rutherfordton. It's a city or a town in the western part of the state. And the locals, it's Ruffton. So as a local, if from an outer towner, by hearing it as Ruffton versus Rutherfordton. All right, that's all I know for now. Thanks a lot. Bye.
I have, so this was something I got from the old Our State magazine swag table. I don't know where it came from, but I have a koozie that has, like, it's pronounced Ruffton, but it has like 5 different potential pronunciations of what is spelled Rutherfordton on the back. It's like, that's a good one. That is a really good one, actually.
I agree. I agree. That's one that the synonym or an analog that comes to mind about that is like Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce, right? In England, they call it Worcester sauce because that's how they pronounce that area. Yes, it has Worcestershire, but they just call it Worcester sauce because that's how they pronounce it. So very much like that in Rutherfordton.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and give Ruffton. I'm going to give it 150, if only because I think that's one where if you look at it and you're not from here, you're like, oh, but also I feel like it's spread. Like people are starting to know about that one. Like it's not as out there as it used to be.
No. I'll give it 50 more points. I'll give it 200 on that one.
200? Okay. Okay. So let's go on to number 3.
Love your stuff. You already beat me to the punch on Conetoe, a.k.a. Conetoe. But I do have one, and actually I'm the one who mispronounced it. Chicomacamiko is the life station. I call it Chicomacamiko, but it's Chicomacamiko. I can't even say it, but anyway, it's pretty widely mispronounced and kind of reminds me of Chad Ochocinco. Chicomacamiko. Help. Thanks, bye.
Okay.
I love this word.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Chicomacamiko.
Once you get it, you're like, I don't understand why it's hard to say. It's Chicomacamiko.
It just rolls off the tongue. It's like Chicomacamiko.
Yes. Yeah, you can yell it. You can yell it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yell at a soccer game and see what happens.
Yeah. So, by the way, I 2 things about this. One is I'm going to spell this. This is just going to be riveting. Chicamacomico. So it looks like Comico, like comic O. So
yes.
When you look at it, you're like, okay, but like if you were like trying to, like I was trying to pronounce it correctly, and I like without having looked at the word, I couldn't do it. I was like our guy here.
Yeah.
The other thing was Our State one time again sent me to Chicomacamiko, which I can't mispronounce that. Chicomacamiko. They sent me there one time. They're like, oh, this is a quirky little town. We should write a little story about it. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I went all the way out there, and there's admittedly not much there. It's like an intersection and a gas station, and I'm like, I can't write about the gas station, so sorry. I didn't write the story, so
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, if you're thinking about going, just know what to expect when you get there. Like,
and that's out on Hatteras Island. So and is it Hatteras or it's on the Outer Banks?
Oh no, wait a minute. I'm getting this wrong. You're right. No, that's the life-saving station.
It's the life-saving station. Yeah, Chicomacamiko life-saving station.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just had a brain fart because I'm conflating that with Chocowinity.
Chocowinity's much different.
Chocowinity, not as. I'm sorry if you live there, but when I went there and was like, I think I could maybe get like 50 words out of this because
there ain't much out there. But yeah, Chickamacomico is a life-saving station. This was back in the day of when the lighthouse service and the life-saving service was out there pulling people out of the surf in the graveyard of the Atlantic. It's now like a historic site out there on Hatteras Island. So
yeah, it's a nice little spot. All right, next one. This is a very Winston-Salem tinged voicemail.
Hey Jeremy, it's John Lauder, one of your readers, calling about your you'd asked for place names in the state that might be mispronounced. I'm a Winston guy, so some of them that I would normally call you about, you already know about, I'm sure. Buena Vista instead of Buena Vista, Pofftown and the like. But my favorite locally, because I lived in Louisville, was the Vienna section, or it's spelled what you and I would think of as Vienna, and you probably already knew this too, but it's Vienna, and there's a road, Louisville, Vienna, that goes through Louisville, and for years, the mayor, who's a transplant from elsewhere, he's been on the town council forever, and he's a former mayor, Tom Lawson, in campaign speeches and debates and everything else would consistently call it Louisville, Vienna, despite knowing that it's Louisville, Vienna, and somehow he never got punished for it politically. So that's my favorite local one. The other one that you see all the time that distinguishes outsiders from insiders is advance instead of advance.
Yep.
And those are the ones I can think of. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the newsletter. Bye-bye.
So Pofftown is PFAFF TOWN. That one is, I think that one to me is not like, I don't know how to, it's not like, oh, I'm going to say this one wrong. It's like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. And I'll give Pofftown 500 points, because good. it is truly confounding. Yeah. Truly confounding and confusing. So, advance. Yeah. But Vienna versus Vienna, that goes back to the idea of place. And how of society and place, and how the folks who lived there first started saying that. And honestly, if the mayor is purposefully mispronouncing that, come on, man, you're the representative of the town, like the chief executive of the town. You need to suck it up and pronounce it the way everyone else does.
Okay. I have this is my conspiracy theory about that. By the way, Pofftown, yeah, like I'm gonna give that like 700 points just because if it scares you into not pronouncing it at all, that's a winner.
That is, yeah.
But okay, this is where I think it is. This is sort of like of all the folks, the Pat McCrory school of political I don't know, gaff making or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, I know that this sounds a little bit dumb, but I think if people react to it, I'm going to keep saying it. So, McCrory was the stepping on toes guy. He was the guy that said, stupid hat, don't put your stupid hat on when he was governor. Don't go outside and don't be dumb. And people were like, oh my God, I can't believe this dude is saying that. And he's like, ha, I'm going to say it everywhere I go. and I think that's the sort of thing. Like if you're the guy who, is saying, Vienna wrong in town, and people are like, Tom, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
But like you're talking about Tom. So maybe it works. So I think that's
all press is good press.
All press is good press. By the way, Chickamacomico forgot to rank that one.
Score it. Yeah.
I'm gonna score it. I'm gonna score that one at 825.
Okay.
Just arbitrarily. Just because I think I enjoyed our guy really just not like he tried it many times and did not improve.
No, did not. And I'll give it 827.
Okay, 827. Are you trying to Price is Right me? Is that
yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. All right. 827. Fine.
If we want to get persnickety about it, 827 and 2.8. 2.8.
Yeah. Well, let's not go into decimals here.
No.
I'm decreeing no decimal points on these.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Here's another one.
had a cousin one time who told me that they'd gone to Conetoe. It was right next to a town called Conetoe, which is Pine Tops. And I got a chuckle out of that. But the story I wanted to tell you was that years ago I was working at one of the very large banks headquartered here in Charlotte, and there was a person who was far less important than he thought it was shouting at the departmental secretary that he had to get to Charlotte because he had a really important meeting with Hugh McCall, and he had to have the corporate jet. He was very ugly to her, and she had the corporate jet drop him off at the Charlotte airport on its way to Charlotte, left him stranded at the airport with nothing, and then said it was his own fault because he said he had to go to Charlotte. And that's what she did. Thought you'd appreciate the story. Hope you're well. I will talk to you later. Bye.
Oh my God! Wow, that is petty. Wow.
No, it's not petty. I think that's fantastic.
It is fantastically petty, and I love it because there is Charlotte. There's the Queen City, the largest city in the state, and then there's this little town on the coast called Charlotte.
Yeah,
they are literally opposite ends of the state.
Yeah, Charlotte. It starts with an SH, but it looks like Charlotte. But it's not Shallot. It's Charlotte.
It's not Shallot. It's Charlotte.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've actually there's a couple of these where a bunch of people kind of called in and said some stuff, and that Charlotte was one of them. Ruffton was the other one, but I'm gonna give Charlotte. Oh gosh, I think that one deserves. I'm gonna give it like 1,272 points. Because I think somebody weaponized it in a way that I did not know you could do that.
I love that. I absolutely. I'll go along with that. I'll match it with that one because that is a wonderful story of how you weaponize somebody's ignorance, and they're being just a total jerk about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you, whoever did that. All right, let's move on to this is a short one.
Hey, I'm Sydney in Charlotte. I moved down here from Connecticut about 8 years ago, and I will never be able to say Concord correctly. I always say Concord because that's how it's pronounced in New England. So, yeah, I always give myself away because I can't say Concord right. Concord. Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and award points first, and we can talk about this because I think this is worth about. I'm only going to give it 20, and not because that's not a commonly mispronounced one. I think it is because there are many different Concords and Concords around the country, and I think like I mean, if it's hard to pronounce because she's not from this particular Concord, then I get it. So it's sort of like the Beaufort, North Carolina, South Carolina debate. North Carolina Beaufort, South Carolina Beaufort, they're spelled exactly the same. They're one state away from each other. They're just a different Carolina and have totally different pronunciations.
Not only one state, they're literally right across the line from each other. You know, I would agree with y'all. Concord is a trap. As you said, there's many names or many cities like that across the country named Concord or Concord. But I mean, I'm not gonna make fun, or I'm not gonna trash on somebody calling it Concord, because the shots of the American Revolution were shot at Lexington and Concord. So I will say this: in 2014 or 2015, when President Obama visited, he kept saying Concord, and everybody in the press pool who were local were sort of rolling their eyes. But I mean, as you said, it's I think it's a trap. I think that's a cheap trap.
It's a trap. Yeah. So how many points are you giving 0 for this?
I'll give it 0.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'll give it 0 on that.
Almost a shutout for that one.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, that is one of those things too, where like, no, again, even the most well-intentioned folks don't get it right. It's like Michelle Obama coming to Charlotte in 2012 and saying, like, I heard you got great barbecue here. And people are like, oh, yeah?
Oh!
Is that what you think? Is that what you heard?
Is that what you want? Yeah.
No.
No, I mean, and she was just saying, look, I think at that point she was just saying, I'm in North Carolina, and I've heard y'all have great barbecue. And then people were overthinking that, saying that Charlotte's got great barbecue. And I was just like, just we're showcasing the state here, not just the city.
Yeah. All right. Next one.
Hi, Jeremy. This is Brandon from Welcome, North Carolina. I have a North Carolina mispronunciation that surely will not rank very high on the point scale, but I felt like was still worth mentioning due to its connection to a great moment in our state's history. I was sitting in my grandfather's living room up in Marion during week 1 of the 2007 college football season when they broke in on the Tennessee-Cal football game to announce that tiny Appalachian State had upset Michigan in the Big House. However, the national announcers said that Appalachian State had beat Michigan, leading to my grandfather becoming irate and telling me that no grandson of his should ever make the same mistake. Thanks for all you do. I love the newsletter. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
So a long time ago, on a podcast, when I on a very early version of this podcast, talked about the Appalachian Trail, and I said Appalachian, and people massacred me. They were so mad. I got so many emails, and they're like, "No, it's wrong." And I went and like looked, and it like both Appalachian and Appalachian are, if you look in like the dictionary, you look anywhere where they're both fine. They're both correct. It's not like there's one or the other. And I was like, I had to come back the next week. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I throw myself upon the mercy of the listeners. I'm really, really sorry about this. And it's got seared into my head. You do not say you don't say Appalachian.
Not here. You don't say Appalachian here. But I will also, I think I may give a 0 to this one too, because it's also a trap. Because the mountain chain that runs from Maine to Georgia is Appalachian. That's the technical designation. But here in North Carolina and other places, if you live in the mountains, you're calling it Appalachian. And but the name of the university in Boone is Appalachian. So
they've written like blog posts on their site about like it's Appalachian. They spelled like 500 words explaining this. Like they're not
totally. So
this is not a casual thing.
No, it's not. But I totally understand. Especially if you aren't from here, and that's what you've heard growing up or in school. Appalachian, yes, that's going to be. You don't know what you don't know on that one. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just giving it 50 points just because of that dude's grandpa. I think that's right.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
I like that one.
Okay. Next one.
My son did an internship at the Outer Banks, and I wanted to ask him about it. So I asked him, how was his time in Manteo? And he said, you mean Manio?
Manio.
Yeah. That's it. That's straight to the point. That's a good call.
That's a good one there. So I think the name of the village is named after a indigenous chief or indigenous fella that met the colonists that were out there. His name was Manteo, but I mean, if you live there, the town is called Manio, and it kindly always has been. So, I'll give that one 75 points because, yes, if you're from around there, you're going to call it Manio, and I don't know. It's really hard for me to get to realize if you're not from there, it's kind of weird for me to think or that you would know the indigenous pronunciation, so I don't, it's a bit of it's maybe a bit of a trap, but it's not as a deep of a trap as it
I think like if if your grammar is paleo, then maybe you say Manteo. But no, I think I'm gonna give this one 25 points, if only because Andy Griffith moved there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh yeah. So every single time they had to mention Andy Griffith in North Carolina, they had to mention where he lived, because he didn't live in Mount Airy anymore. He lived in Manio, and so that's that one. I think it's like, oh, that one got a lot of play. So I'm only gonna give that one 25.
Okay.
I'm going out of order because I'm actually gonna save one for the end, because you'll know why in a little bit. So I have a couple more here. Here's another one.
Jeremy, hey, I'm calling because I live down in Indian Trail, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from Durham originally.
Durham.
One of the best cities around with one of the best pronunciations. But my favorite one is down here in the Charlotte area or surrounding areas is Cherryville, as all the natives say, Cherryville. It took me a long time when I first heard to realized what exactly they were talking about. So I'm sure you've heard and been to Cherryville before, but that's my favorite.
Yeah. Just shout out Gaston County.
Seriously,
the soul, the true soul of North Carolina. You have so many cities there, and they're just all like Randlow. Randlow's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you have Cherryville.
Cherryville.
I
had a
not
news,
Cherryville, by the way. It
not
looks Cherryville. It's Cherryville.
My news director at Spectrum News was from Cherryville, and he made sure you knew it.
Yeah. By the way, so this. I'm going to ask you this question. Where do you say Ville or Vol when you see it? Like, what comes naturally to you when you see that?
Vol.
Vol?
Yeah, so I'm being like Asheville.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and I understand why people say the Ville. Like, I understand why they say that, because it looks like that. It looks how it's spelled, but I say Vol. So if I'm going to Asheville, I'm going to Asheville. If I'm going to Cherryville, I'm going to Cherryville.
Yeah.
But I think that's an accent. That's a dialect thing.
Is it borough or borough?
Borough. Like, so I'm from Ashborough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's borough. But again, I'm not gonna look down on somebody who says it differently or more properly, I guess, because that's how people have been trained. That's how they grew up. Saying things. I mean, language is one of the things that we get as babies. We're soaking that in. We're learning that in. So if that's what you've heard all your life, that's what you've heard all your life. So, I'm not gonna deduct points or look down on somebody if they're gonna say it differently. But yeah.
All right, Cherryville. I'm gonna give that. I think that's actually a pretty good one. I'm gonna give that 812 points.
I can go with that. I'll give it 800. I'll give it 800.
Okay. And then I want to go back. I'm only going to give Durham, Durham, Durm, as opposed to Dur. I don't actually hear anybody say Durham. I don't think that's the thing that people say.
Nobody says Durham.
Yeah, everybody's. I think because of Bull Durham, people kind of understand how to say Durham. But people saying Durham, I'm going to give that 2 points.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's like the like, I'm kind of cool. I'm from Durham, and you're
I'm
like,
from Durham.
Yeah.
I'll give it 10, only because a lot of people like to say Raleigh, Durham. I'm going to Raleigh, Durham. No, that's the airport. You're either going to Raleigh or you're going to Durham.
That is my favorite. Like, I'm going to troll you, and I will just feel like
yes.
I will do that. Like, I feel like I don't do a whole lot of like, getting people raging online, but I do think that I will occasionally drop like, oh gosh, it's looking beautiful in Raleigh, Durham today, and people feel like so mad.
It's funny when the RDU airport social accounts go, they get snarky about it. It's
they
hilarious.
Are the keepers of the flame on that one. They
really are.
They exist. Like the airport's like Twitter or whatever Blue Sky account like this only to smack people who say Raleigh Durham in context which it should not be used. So.
That's exactly right, and I am here for it. I love it.
Yeah. All right. A few more here.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Oliver, and I once tried to convince my dad that bogue sound was pronounced bogey sound. Disappointingly, my family has lived in Carteret County for generations. Goodbye.
That's another trolling story. I love that.
I didn't know that one. I have never heard that variation. Although
I've never heard bogey. I've always heard it's always bogue. It's always been bogue. I'll give that one. Let's see. I'll give him 927 points for the troll.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 999.
Okay.
Just for innovation purposes, because
seriously,
I think if the dad was like, oh wait a minute, is it pronounced that? Like if it created a moment of doubt in his mind, then like, oh, props. That's great. That's a good one.
Especially if they've been in Carteret County for generations.
Unfortunately for generations. I don't know if he was saying unfortunately they went along with it, or they've unfortunately lived there for generations. I don't know what that. I don't know what they're talking about. So good luck.
I like that one.
Okay, here's another one.
Hi, Jeremy. This is also Jeremy. It's January 12th. I'm sorry I'm cutting this a little close, but I have a story for you on your North Carolina mispronunciation question. So just to establish my North Carolina credentials, I live in Cary, but I was born and raised in Edenton, and I've also lived in various parts of the state. As you can probably tell from my caller ID, I also spent 13 years living in Florida, and that's where my story comes in. So I had a coworker who was considering moving to Northeast North Carolina, and I told him that's where I grew up, asked where exactly the job opportunity was, and he told me that it was in Ahoskie. So after I stopped laughing, I told him, I think you mean Ahoskie. He did not end up taking the job, but it was something that I certainly have never forgotten. Anyway, thank you for all the work that you do at the Rabbit Hole. I've been a fan of yours since the away message days. Really do appreciate everything that you do, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah. So my favorite thing about Ahoskie is that Ahoskie's nickname is just the only one, because there's only one Ahoskie. It's
Ahoskie,
like, the only one. That's the nickname. It's
the only one.
That's the only one.
I went to college with a gal from Ahoskie, and we'd always sort of poke fun at each other. Be like, "Oh yeah, from Ahoskie."
Mm-hmm.
Ahoskie. I've never heard that. Although I could see how it would be based on how it's spelled. I'll give it 722 points.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna really disagree with you on this one. I'm gonna go 21 points, because I don't think it's. I think you look at it like it's Ahoskie.
It's Ahoskie.
It's Ahoskie. That's my thought.
Okay.
All right. Two more. Here's the second to last one here.
Hi, my name is Marvin Lindsay, born and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Lived in Salisbury for 11 years. I remember hearing a very new and very not from North Carolina meteorologist on one of the Charlotte TV stations call Salisbury. Which I think is particularly egregious, because even the one in Maryland is Salisbury, and I believe so is the one in England. But anyway, that's my mispronunciation snafu for North Carolina towns. Not sure if that's as good as Raleigh. In fact, I don't think it is, but Salisbury I think ranks up there. Love your work. Thanks for giving us the chance to get some feedback. Goodbye.
The steak.
Yeah, Salisbury steak.
That's the steak.
That's the steak. Yeah.
So I don't know if I can, rate that. I think that's a bit of a I don't know if it's a bit of a trap. I don't think so. I think so. This is actually this brings up a genre of mispronunciation, which I think people would like love to call gotcha on, which is like out of town, especially out of town broadcasters, but especially weather people, because like weather folks who go on the air have to instantly know the name of, I don't know, hundreds of big and small towns across their viewing area and know it instantly and get it right, like off the top of their head. And like, they're not getting, it's not like, hey, you're going to take a week and learn all this stuff. Cause there's not like a book. Not all, I mean, I guess you get the North Carolina Gazeter, but you know, there's not like a book.
Gazeter.
You can get the old Gazeter and look at the Gazeter on every single pronunciation in the state. But I don't know. Like, I think that's okay, but when a weather person does it, you're like, aha, you're being paid to speak on TV, and you suck. And like, okay, well, no, somebody will tell them. Yeah. They won't keep doing it. So
I think this one is, it's sort of in the same genre of Appalachian. It's how you've heard it, growing up. As you said, the Salisbury steak, yeah. But in Maryland and in North Carolina, it's Salisbury. So I'm not gonna penalize someone too much unless you are on broadcast, broadcast TV area or weatherman.
Yeah, it tends to be self-correcting.
I'll get it 20 points.
20 points. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. I'm gonna give it 30, just because again, the steak. It's everybody. Okay. Actually, one more thing for you.
Okay.
In school down here, when they had Salisbury Steak Day, was it Salisbury steak or Salisbury steak?
It was Salisbury steak. We called it Salisbury steak.
Okay,
yeah.
Well,
but only because the town here in North Carolina is Salisbury steak. That's how we knew it.
You all have been cheerwine pilled.
Yes, we've been cheerwine pilled. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have one more. And all I'm going to say is, if you're two things. One, Ben, you will understand why I held this one for the very end. Mm-hmm. And then two, if this has been a very family friendly show up until this point, if you have kids in the car listening to this, just kind of mute it for, I don't know, another 30 seconds.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I live in the Mars Hill area. My poor fiance came up to me one day in front of a group of people and said Buncombe County instead of Buncombe County, where Asheville is. And when he first came to the central part of North Carolina and saw signs for Fuquay Varina, he thought it was Fuckway Varina. Thank you. Bye.
I have heard the Fuckway Varina before. I really have. I've heard that one before.
I just enjoy the confidence of somebody being like, well, you know.
I mean, that takes some.
Yeah,
that takes some cojones right there.
Yeah, this is like, you know how some people were just like overly like, I would like to have the confidence of somebody who doesn't know any better, and was like, has never heard it before or has heard it one time before, reads it and goes, I know exactly how to say that.
I am more amused at Buncombe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, you're really overthinking that, buddy.
Yeah. All right. You know something? I'm gonna just because I'm not above this, I'm gonna award again, mute yourself for like 2 seconds. I'm gonna award Fuckway Varina. I'm going to honor that with 1,500 points.
I'll go along with that because that one messes everybody up.
Yeah, that's the obvious. That's a good totem right there.
It really is. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you're native or if you're not from around here. You just got here as soon as you could. That one really does mess everybody up. And shout out to my friend Liz, who lives in Fuquay Varina and does all the spooky haunted house tours down there. Yeah. Go down there and see her because she'll give you a good thrill of your life, especially around Halloween time.
Yeah, that's somebody actually said in the mentions like, you shouldn't get any points for that one because that one's the one that everybody think. I think it's good because it literally is one of the first ones you think of.
Yes.
So that is a good test if you have not seen it. But I just enjoy the person like they're like, oh, I think you can swear in that name of that town, and I'm gonna say that to everybody that I know. And also bunkum, which I can't even at this point. That one was so far out there.
Yeah.
That I don't even remember what the pronunciation was. I can't even make my brain say anything other than bunkum. So I'm giving that pronunciation. I'm gonna give that one 750 points. Actually, no. I'm gonna add 1,000 on that. 1,750.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say that needs a little bit. It needs to break 1,000. Like when she said that, I had to my brain scramble for 2.8 seconds and going, what is she saying? What? Oh, bunkum.
Yeah. Oh no.
On that one, I'm not assigning points. I'm giving a bless your heart.
Why aren't you taking points off?
I'm not assigning points on that one. I'm just saying bless your heart.
Yeah, that's probably the way to go. So I think Fuquay is our winner.
Yeah,
that is our winner. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for it. I will try to compile all these points and post them online. If you would like to know how Ben and I arbitrarily and very, non-objectively rated all these, but yeah, that's all our points. Way to go! Thank you everybody who called in. Thank you for bearing with us as we went through this. I hope you all got something out of this. This felt like a better podcast than a newsletter because you just have to say all this stuff. You can't.
You do. You have to hear it.
You have to hear it. So,
yeah.
I really appreciate it, Ben. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for joining me. This was great. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you. You kept trying to get a hold of me, and for whatever reason, your text didn't come through, and then it came through on my computer. I was like, yes, of course I'm going to join you, Jeremy.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad things in Raleigh are doing just fine. And
doing just fine in Raleigh, man. It's a sunny day, always sunny in Raleigh.
Raleigh. So, well, thank you everybody for listening. This has been the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. I'm Jeremy Markovich. If you like this, you want to hear more stuff like this, read more stuff like this, you can head over to ncrabbithole.com. I put out a weekly newsletter, and it is free if you want it to be. And we do podcasts like this as well. So if you like this podcast, do the podcast things that bring us great fame and wealth, like liking and subscribing and commenting and whatever else. So thank you all for joining us, Ben. Thank you.
Are you still doing paid subscriptions?
I am. Yeah. If you would like to support this, you can help out. I really appreciate that. It kind of keeps it going. It's a nice little, I don't know, approval matrix that really helps me feel confident in what I'm doing, and hopefully if you enjoyed this and more stuff like this, you will be willing to fork over a little bit to help keep it going. So, Ben, thanks for joining me, and everybody else, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.